Welcome back. This is the Jackson Neill Music Podcast. It's Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. We made it to the end of the week. It's June 22nd, 2018, and thank you so much for tuning in right here on SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, or YouTube. Wherever you guys are listening, please enjoy the podcast. If you're listening on YouTube and this goes longer than 10 minutes, remember, check down in the description and you will find the link to listen to the rest of the episode. With that, let's jump right into it, where today it's an album review of one project I've been keeping on repeat. It dropped when I was up in the mountains with no cell service, so that was a tough pill for me to swallow for about 3 days, because I was looking forward to this for quite some time. And this is NASIR by Nas, part of Kanye West's run of these albums he's producing. I think it's about 4 now in a row he's going to have going between Ye, Kids See Ghosts, NASIR, and this Tiana Taylor album coming out this Friday, or I guess today. Whatever he's doing, we never really know what Kanye's up to. But NASIR is a project that I've been looking forward to for quite some time, and it follows the same exact pattern of the rest of these releases by the Good Music mastermind, with 7 songs. This one clocking in at 27 minutes, so a little bit longer for a 7-song album than you might expect, and that's because there are some longer tracks in there, especially a song such as Everything when it clocks in about 7.5 minutes. But looking at this project as a whole, I think it's a very, very solid offering from Nas. But a lot of my takeaways from it are similar to what I have from Ye and Kids See Ghosts, in the fact that this 7-song format, while Nas I think gets a lot more out of it than everyone else did, especially with mentioned a song like Everything going 7.5 minutes, it's basically 2 songs right there. Well, he does get a lot more out of it. I still think it's too short, because I'm getting done listening to this album and I want at least 2 more tracks, maybe 3 or 4. I want a 10-song, 11-song, maybe 12-song project. That's what I want from artists. And unless Nas is planning to give me another one of these 7-song projects in about 6 months, it's going to be hard for me as a fan to say, are they really working their hardest? And I know this is the shortest amount of music, I guess, that Grammys consider an album, but I don't consider this 7-song project an album. To me, it's an EP, and I think you really have to look at maybe 8 or 9 songs when we get into the album conversation, because 7 just does not cut it. And that's my first takeaway, was that I like this project. I really was enjoying it, but once Simple Things ended, it felt like it's done. I was waiting for the next song to come on, and I think it happened 3 straight times listening to this project where I got done with Simple Things and I said, is this it? And maybe it accomplishes its goal. Maybe what it does is, since it's so hyper-focused and forces you to make a hyper-condensed, super-focused album that you listen on repeat, and you really get to delve into each and every track. Maybe that's what the purpose of it is. And that helps a casual fan, maybe. But for the hardcore fan, for the fan who really wants to delve into each and every lyric, to really listen into what Nas has to say, because he's arguably, he is in the conversation for greatest rapper alive today. Look at his discography, from Illmatic, Stillmatic, It Was Written. Look at all those projects, and you tell me he is not one of, if not the best rapper alive at this moment. So getting after waiting years to hear another project from him and getting 7 songs, it's just frustrating for me, because I want to get more of Nas. I know he has more to say. I know over the course of these several years, he has more to say than this. And I think a really good example to give for Nas would have been Jay-Z's 444, where I'll get in an upcoming episode, I'll get into Everything Is Love, the album he just did with Beyonce, but I think 444, I loved that project because of its length. I thought 36 minutes was perfect. Was that I could have gone for another song, but also I think it was just the right amount. I like when an album finishes where I said I could have had another song, where it leaves me wanting a little bit more, but also satisfied and fulfilled as a listener as well. And I think 444 really did that, where it was hyper-focused from Jay-Z, but he still included a lot of info in it. I think 7 songs with this 27-minute runtime is hyper-focused, is really condensed. But it's too condensed. You have to cut too much information out, especially for a lyricist such as Nas. So that's just my idea on its length, which I think is probably the biggest, if not one of the biggest takeaways from it. Second up, I gotta talk about the production because this is Kanye West as the producer, and I've heard some takeaways from this saying that this sounds rushed. And while I do get that in a couple points on the album, for the most part, I really think Kanye West nailed it on the production-wise of this. I think him as a producer, I loved the production on Yeah. I thought that was incredible. It's just I thought the lyrics on there were completely rushed. Kids See Ghosts, I thought that was the standout project so far, and especially with the production on that. And I think the production on this is really A+ work. Now, is it Kanye's best? No. But Kanye's best work is some of the best production of all time. Listen to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. That sonically, I mean, compare that to any hip-hop album or any album of all time that you want, and that will at least hold a candle to it, be just as good or even better. So, you got to keep that in mind whenever you judge Kanye West on a production aspect, is that he is one of the best producers we have ever seen in hip-hop. So, in terms of this project, it's not his best work. But when you produce for a Nas album, the production should not be the center point of it. Nas is a lyricist. You look back at Illmatic, and he has good production on there, but the reason the production was so good, the reason we consider it so good, was because it gave Nas an opportunity to say what he had to say. Same with It Was Written. Same with Stillmatic. Nas, at his best, has good beats, but the beats don't overshadow the rapper. Because at the end of the day, when I listen to a Nas project, I want the boom bap. You give me those drums, give me the kick, give me all the drums and that solid loop, but let me hear what Nas has to say. Let me hear how he gets those phrases, how he ties them all together. Because some rappers nowadays, it's all about the beats. And that's what we all are getting caught up in. And I think Kanye West, his music is great a lot of times because of how great his production is. I think he matches his lyrics perfectly with the production, but Graduation is so awesome because of its sonic sound, and 808s and Heartbreaks was a completely different sound, and that's what we know Kanye for. But we want lyrics. We want straight cut-to-the-edge lyricism from Nas. So in terms of the production value on this, I think it pretty much accomplishes its job. Maybe it could be better, like I said, but look at a record like Cop Shot the Kid. That Slick Rick sample? Gee, find me a better just boom-bap lyricist beat from 2018. Find me a better one, because if I'm a rapper, especially if I could pick any rapper to go on that, give me Nas on that, because that incorporates that kind of old school, cutting it up, chopping it up, but still has this kind of new flair into it. I think it's an awesome record. I think production-wise, it's awesome for it. And throughout the entire thing, I think it's able to keep us a very solid sound throughout. And I think Kanye accomplishes the job. Whatever you have to say about Kanye, he is still an A+ producer. And I think he kind of shows that. And that maybe at points it's rushed, but overall it's a very, very solid job. In terms of the lyrics now, Nas, I think he's able to do well on some parts, but still, I think what ends up happening is the brevity of it cuts him short. Where he feels like, especially not for radio, he feels like he's punching out some lyrics to really say it out loud, where Fox News was started by a black dude, also true, stuff like that, where I almost feel like that would have been part of a more coherent verse had Nas been allowed the time. But when he's being struck down by this 7-song limit, he feels like he has to pronounce more. And you might think, oh, well, he's going to make more, more quicker verses and say more stuff. Well, actually, no, it forces him to really punch out what he has to say and cut out a lot more. And I think that on Not For Radio, his message is kind of blurred. And I think in terms of his political alignings, it's kind of blurred.